You are watching and or listening to episode 74 of the Unnecessary Nonsense podcast. Today, a alleged New Orleans Saints fan is going to explain why the Young Goat King is being denied. We'll also talk a little bit of NBA in general, talk about the NFL slate, and I'll talk a little bit about the virtual Expo that started today that we're recording, and we're going to have a little bit of a chat about that. And that and any other ridiculous nonsense that we have as we continue to unravel the mystery of where the gold Ric Flair Dame Sevens are. An answer that I need, that you need, that we may solve. Probably not. On this episode of the Unnecessary Nonsense podcast. We're totally not solving it. I'm Carlos. That's Dave.
Hello. Yeah, apparently I have a new Instagram account. That's my big news.
You have a new Instagram account? Oh, yes, I do see it. That Instagram account's better anyway. Hold on.
So
there you go. Flipped over.
There we go.
Hashtag sponsor us.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, if you sponsor us, we can have somebody to control the board and get the right one on the first try.
There you go, man.
Here, I got.
Or we could just make random Insta accounts with the money that we have.
Well, Dave, I could always grab some because I actually do several podcasts and streams here through StreamYard that we're recording this on. So like occasionally, like I have to keep multiple on here in order to be able to flip between the different things that I do. So you can have that, or you can have this one. That's Carvin. You can have this. You can have this. I feel like that's applicable, right?
Yes. So that just right now says everything they do is a cash grab. Hashtag capitalism. I agree.
That's a good one.
I agree.
We can have, and of course, our personal podcast favorite.
Yes, Dear God, Why is pretty much because it's pretty much applicable to pretty much everything we talk about.
And by the way, since you brought it up, actually, let me kind of quickly discuss a thing that we'll get.
All right, sure. Why don't you go then? Why don't you continue on how your week's been, and then I'll talk about me, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, we'll do all that. So one of the things Dave and I were chatting about earlier is that our last podcast episode was picked up. And we were looking over the analytics, and we genuinely don't understand why. We've got theories. The analytics give us some interesting results, let's say, some saucy results, results that lead to...
Yes, Dear God, Why?
But I will say also that the previous episode that was called Dear God, Why also had not nearly as many, but, a slight pickup in viewers. So some of you may like God and other things that relate to the search things that came up in the other one. There's a lot of linkage.
I feel that clearly the future of us potentially getting sponsored is solely reliant on what you make the title of each episode, Carlos.
Apparently. Such is the power and responsibility of my power.
Exactly.
Absolutely. It is a true story. So yeah, that was the first thing. Second thing, as far as going on regular happenings, work's been pretty straightforward, nothing too crazy. I'm looking forward very much to the holidays. I'm going to take some vacation days coming up here in the next little bit because there's some stuff I got to get done. I got to fix this office because it needs to be reorganized. And also I want to start putting stuff away for like wintertime and everything. So again, technically I should have done a couple of weeks ago, but I want to set some time aside to literally be like, all right, I'm going to move this. I'm going to get rid of this, throw some crap out so that I got a little more space. And that's, I think that's the winter goal. While I'm bunkered in, I'll get some stuff around here fixed up. So that's kind of my goal in life. Next, in addition to that, I'm still going to do a lot more live streams on my YouTube channel. That's going to be fun. But then also speaking of like the sports card hobby, we got the virtual expo this weekend, like I mentioned earlier. And I will say, I mentioned Dave a little bit, but I will say that conceptually, it really is just a live stream, really, because you've got the booths, you've got the center stage where you can do interviews and different things. But as far as the live stream is concerned, it's kind of interesting because each dealer kind of effectively has their booth, which can operate as a live stream, not dissimilar to what we do here on StreamYard. You can bring more people on, they can be chatting. There's also a chat so that people can interact that way. And yeah, I went around to different booths, checking it out, and it's very clear, similar to last time, that there are definitely some dealers that still don't get how to utilize the medium of video. Like they're still very stuck in the antiquated ways because if you're going to do that, so imagine like what we're doing right now, because when Dave and I are doing this, if you're listening to audio, it's not going to mean anything to you, but just picture it. Basically, the way StreamYard works is you got a window where you can see myself and you can see Dave, and it's got our names on it. The little scrolling ticker we'll talk about from time to time and stuff on the screen, whatever. But the point is, Dave can see more or less what the screen looks like similarly on his end. So now you imagine that you got a video where you got two people showing their video. Well, in this case, you imagine it's one person at the beginning that can potentially engage an audience. So you are the person watching. You're seeing somebody on the screen talking, but you're presumably going to buy from this person. So maybe you got questions. Oh, do you have this or do you have that? Or do you sell these things? Or would you be willing to buy? Would you be willing to trade? Blah, blah, blah. And you can actually be invited or you can request the ability to share video and audio and be able to have basically a voice call. Now you can do that publicly with everybody else watching if you're just having some general inquiries or you just want to chat for a bit. That's cool. Or you can also utilize the button there to do a private side conversation where you both have video, but you talk directly to each other without other people watching. So you can use both mediums if you want to. So it gives you a lot of opportunity to potentially make business because since people are at home, they don't have to cart their stuff over there. So in theory, I've got access to my entire inventory. So if I have something that I can sell you, I can make money.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the dealers apparently decided not to take this on because there is and on here I'll call it out. There's a card shop called Red Snail 2. They're based out of Toronto. I've been there before. I did some business with them years ago, and I was able to do local pickup. So I went to go with Carlos Sr. back in the day to go get the card. So I went there. The transaction was fine. It was whatever. It's a decent little store. It's not a big deal. But they were at the virtual expo, and they had their booth. But their booth was basically like a hard cam showing the back wall with all the boxes of cards. But basically, like nobody was manning it. So like there was nobody in front of the live stream. But you could hear the store because right now on Monday, a lot of these places are going to lock down and close up for COVID. But they still had a little bit of business they could do at least through this weekend. But the store was physically open. So what you could hear in the background was a bunch of people like making a deal in an animated way and like cursing each other, or the guy on the phone like making a deal. And I'm just sitting there like, so if I come in here and I want to do business with this person, here's the thing: the cursing doesn't bother me. But I'm saying like at the same time, like well, if I want to ask you a question, you're not even here.
Yeah.
But I can see your store. So it's like, okay, wouldn't you at least get somebody to be like a stand-in? Be like, hey, can you watch this? And if anybody's got a question, just wave me over or whatever, and I'll come over and
exactly.
answer. Yeah, like
because they're paying to be there too, right?
Correct. Yes, it's lower than like setting up at the regular card show, but like you're literally paying for a potential audience of thousands, and people are clicking by and looking. And this time around, they have an app, so I can actually show you a little bit. I didn't log into the app myself, but I have it downloaded. But I'll actually show you a little bit here, just so you can kind of see what it looks like. So you can actually scroll through. So I don't know if you can see a little. There you go.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. So what happens is it doesn't matter the particulars. The point is,
well, it's just like a list that what you're showing me is just the name of every booth.
Yes, but when you click on it, you can actually go to the booth.
Yeah.
You can do it through the app. So what happens is you can actually open up the booth and actually see what it looks like. And it allows you the ability. So actually, hold on. It looks like it's letting me do it. So yeah, if I log in, it will actually let me see the booth here. So I can see the video from here.
Now, as we're recording, on a Saturday, are you planning on attending tomorrow on the Sunday as well?
For sure. Yeah. It's basically, I come downstairs and I log on for a bit. I'm going to be hanging out with the family a little bit early afternoon. I need to get a little bit of a haircut. Got to get this flowing mane cut down a little bit. They'll do me the favor of cutting it down. But then we'll eat, and then I'm going to try to time it so that I can still attend for most of the show, because then I plan on doing a live stream myself, to a little post-mortem of the expo. But I do want to attend for as much time as I can and get a bit of a sense of it. But my overarching impression early on is just that there are still some dealers that don't get it, because the example I gave you. Now that we have an app and we have all these things, people can be attending for 20 or 30 minutes. Maybe I don't have hours and hours and hours to sit there. I went in, looked around, checked out a bunch of different things, checked out the main stage, did all that. And then at a certain point, I went to my buddy's booth, logged on, so I was doing video. And we basically did a 3.5-hour podcast just riffing on the hobby. Like, people who were there, after a while, we were getting like 20 or 30 viewers watching a booth because we were entertaining them with just random hobby chatter.
Nice.
And then at the same time, some people were making some deals on the side as well. So we'd be chatting. And then a third guy joined us, who I do some podcasts and stuff with as well. And we were just having a 3-way conversation, and he was able to do some deals on the side. Well, he made more deals this year than he did in all of the previous show. And his amount of deals were comparable to what he would make at a physical show. And he was able to do that from his house.
That's sweet. Yeah.
So the thing is, like, you can make business, but here's the secret. People were coming to the booth just to watch us. But while they're there, he had a link, and the link takes you to a Dropbox that you can open up and see all the cards he has for sale with the prices on them.
Right.
And then if you're interested in something, you could say, "Hey, I like this thing," and he had it labeled with the box number. "Oh, I like this card from box A3. Can you show it to me?" "Oh, sure. It looks like this." pulls it from the box. And he goes, okay, can you do a little something on the price? He goes, yeah, talk to me, send me a message here and we'll negotiate. Negotiate, send me the PayPal. Yep, send me your address and I'll ship it to you. Done.
Sweet.
But that's how you do business. Like, but you have to engage. The people, there were people who would literally be there and this is the way the booth would look.
So Carlos is just staring blankly into the screen right now.
And it would be like that for hours. And it'd be like, are you wondering why no one's engaging you when you're just being creepy and staring at the screen? You have to speak. And some people would actually do like a placeholder, basically a slideshow. They would link them to their site. And I'm like, if I want to go to your site, I can do that anytime.
Why am I paying for the privilege of doing this if I'm just going to go to something that I can do for free?
And for some of them, like the site wasn't that good anyway. So it's like, if you go to the site, I can't find what I'm looking for anyhow. I got to call you. So it's like, what's the point of this entire exercise?
Now, do they have any, because one of the things that's has been a staple of this card show, when it's been live and in person in Toronto, when people can go, is autographed guests.
Yes.
Do they do anything in regards to that with the virtual?
Guests? They do RFS, yeah.
So
what happens? I'll simulate. I didn't buy one, but I'll simulate what it would look like because I did have a conversation with them about more or less what it is. It's similar to the live one-on-one chats. So you could do a video call. Basically, you would get like a window to do a video call to chat with the athlete, and the athlete would chat with you for a couple of minutes. So actually, you get more time than usual because you'd actually get a couple of minutes dedicated for you to chat with the athlete, ask a couple of questions, whatever you want to do, and then basically you prepaid and say, okay, so you wanted to sign jersey? He goes, yep. Do you want me to make it out to anybody? While you guys are having a quick conversation for 2 or 3 minutes or even 5 minutes, whatever it is. I don't remember the set amount, but you get a couple of minutes, ask a couple of questions, get a couple of things. They're engaging with you on the video chat, like a Zoom call, basically. And then what happens is like, okay, so you want me to make it out to Dave? Yep. Dave, your hero, Jameis Winston. Done.
That's pretty sweet, actually.
Yeah. So it's about the best experience they can give you, given the limitations.
Is the fee significantly different?
It's about the same.
Yeah. So
it's almost exactly the same.
The only difference, I guess, is that can you send in your own stuff then or no?
It is possible. Like it would be late now. You wouldn't be able to pull it off. Yeah, but I think for some of them you did have that option. And as I'm talking to you, I'll pull up the information because I want to quote correctly. So yeah, like they had Andre Dawson today. Bobby Hall was there.
Who do they have tomorrow? Anyone that I want to get in on before, or is it gone?
Okay, so Sunday, Gary Cheevers, Bernie Perron. Looking here. Kim St. Pierre is going to be there. And on Sunday, they've got a gentleman named Bill Madden who wrote a book on Tom Seaver. So,
okay.
So they got a couple of like vintage goalies. It's one of those things. Like today, they also had Mike Bossy.
Nice.
So they stacked it. They knew Saturday was going to be a big day, so they stacked it up a little bit.
That's kind of sweet to be able to like have a chat with Andre Dawson or something. Like that's, like I have the Andre Dawson autograph because I got that at the Ferguson Jenkins booth at the show several years ago. Yeah. But still, like that's kind of that. I mean, I like that. Like that's a cool thing they've done.
Yeah. So here it is. I found it. So what happens is you can buy two things. You can have. So they separate it out. You can have, say Bernie Perron. I'm using it as an example.
Okay, yeah.
If you wanted an autographed Flyers puck, it would be $59. If you want a personalized inscription up to 3 words, $10 more. So it's like you got all the segmentations here. You can have an 8x10 photo for $49, etc. So either A, he signs it. Also, or you can have as well a one-on-one video chat. So 2 to 3 minutes. So includes an emailed copy of the photo chat, of the video chat. So after you finish the video chat, you also get a copy.
But there's no audit, so that's separate from an autograph.
Yeah, so I think that what they do is they tack them on. So you can have the autograph item, or you can just do the chat. If you just want to chat with Bernie Perron for 2 or 3 minutes, you certainly can. And, so they separate it out so you can.
And then there'd be you could play like both fees and get both. I would assume as well, right?
Correct. I believe so. Yes. So it's one of those things. Like they just segment it out because for some people it's more important to get the item, and for other people they would really love to just have the quick FaceTime.
Which is that's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, like. I like the fact that they are innovating. I mean, right? They have to, in the sense. So they're innovating in this end of it too, as opposed to just like the people doing their booths and obviously they're gonna do what they're gonna do. Yep. We can't all just do this the whole time, Carlos.
Yep. No, but that's just it. Like some people just don't get it. Like the video medium is so powerful. And this is like, I'm actually having like a serious conversation in this piece for a second because it's like the video medium is so powerful. The reason I recommend to people, and by the way, let me say it right now off the top. if you want to check out the audio version of a podcast, it's available on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, wherever you get your audio podcasts. I've sent it off to a lot of the different ones, and they're all on there. So you can get it through your podcast app of choice. But since we've been able to incorporate the video element, I feel like a lot has been gained because it is possible. Dave and I have known each other a long time. It is easier to really get a sense of the gesturing, the hilarity that can cause, the looks. If Dave says something ridiculous and I give him a look like I'm going to strangle you, COVID will not do you in, my hands will.
But you can't because I'm on a different place than you are right now, Carlos.
This can be dealt with, Turbo.
This is like the point where the hand reaches through the screen, you know?
So all I'm saying, this can be dealt with. But the point is that you get that. And also, when I do the screen share, we can describe it to you to the best of our ability. And sometimes we try and sometimes we forget. But at the same time, like if you see it, then you can be like, that's what they're talking about. It's a little bit easier to visualize.
And we do our best to, explain it to enough detail that if you're listening on podcast only, you will get an understanding of what's going on. But you can't replace, when Carlos is showing us a card, you can't replace actually seeing said card.
Correct. And in the same vein, for a lot of folks, the opportunity here, like for some of them, they're like, I don't even want the autograph. I would just like to talk to Bobby Hall for 2 or 3 minutes. That'd be kind of cool. I want to ask him about a story. I want to ask a question about something.
Well, I mean, let me ask you this question then, Carlos.
Sure.
Since you are a Mike Modano super collector.
Yeah.
And you have numerous Mike Modano autographs. Mm-hmm. If Mike Modano was one of the guests this weekend, would you get an autograph again, or would you do the video chat, or would you both?
So the thing is, I've already, when he did a signing at the Expo a couple of years ago, I went and had him signed.
Yeah, and I know you talked to him briefly at that point, but
yeah.
Would you take advantage of that opportunity again? Or?
Here's the thing. I like Mike Modano as a player. I don't think he's that interesting a person. So it's one of those things like a Bobby Hall has stories. I will tell you, like he has stories. And I can say to you that years ago now, Canada Post did a thing with the lithographs, these big versions of a stamp, the series of hockey legends that they did. And Bobby Hall was one of the persons who had a stamp. So Canada Post had these large lithographs that you could purchase. Well, what happened is in Canada Post did a promo that at that time, and it's got to be like 10 years ago, maybe more. And what happened is if you bought the lithograph there, Bobby Hall would sign it for you because he was there to do signing for it. So what would happen is you bought the lithograph, and then Bobby Hall would sit there, and I chatted with him for maybe about 5 or 10 minutes. So the thing is, in this case, like I totally understand why the appeal here, but that was included basically in the price because it wasn't like the booth was super heavy the whole time because it's Canada Post. But people weren't thinking about that. But it was like, oh, Bobby Hall's there, and if you buy the lithograph, he'll sign the thing for you, and he'll chat with you for a couple minutes. And since nobody was there, we chatted for a little bit.
Yeah, that's cool.
It was kind of fun, and he had a couple of fun stories, and it was neat. But so there are opportunities. Hockey players tend to be pretty approachable. This I totally get because this is like, well, we're going to do video chats, right? So it's like we got to kind of schedule it. Give people, like, please tell us ahead of time if you would like to do, because the guys will sign the stuff. But if they're just signing the stuff in a room and we send it to them, it's a lot easier and quicker for them. If we do the video chats, okay, Bobby, so we're going to be chatting with Dave now, and then we'll be chatting with Bob in 10 minutes, and then so on, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can schedule it out and stagger it so that everybody gets their time, and then you don't, Bobby Hall is not a young guy. So give him a couple of minutes in between to rest and relax, have a drink or whatever. And, it'll be easier. But then for 2 or 3 minutes, he can engage you and do whatever. You get the experience. So I totally get it. And I think it's cool as an innovation. It's just something else. And also that means the guys doesn't have to fly in from wherever. So for the athlete, it's more convenient and it's safer for them because a lot of these guys are not young guys.
No, for sure.
They shouldn't be getting on a plane right now anyway. So it makes a lot of sense in a lot of ways. And I think this is going to become something that will happen in the times between the regular Expo when we get back to normal times. I think they'll do 4 shows a year, and I think 2 of them will be virtual and 2 of them will be in person.
Well, you know what? That's okay.
Yeah, it just provides another option. And like I said, entry's free. So what's the problem? Like it's a free entry for you as a visitor. You can go around and just look around for free.
Well, then there you go, right?
Yeah, so there's no harm there, and you don't have to leave your house. You can just chill, and if something interests you, you can make a deal. If not, you got to do a little window shopping for free.
Yeah.
It's hard to beat that deal.
Yep, that is true.
Yep. So that's kind of my bit about the Expo because like I said, it's interesting and I've definitely spent a couple hours on it today. I'll spend a couple hours on it tomorrow and we'll kind of play by ear from there. But it'll be interesting to see. And then I'll do a little post-mortem And because I will say the YouTube channel has been doing well, especially as I put in more content out there. People are checking it out. Of course, I'm still waiting for the long awaited comment from Dave on my 5.5 hour live stream, my 4 hour live stream, my 3 hour live stream. Like hundreds of views, comments, and nothing from Dave. Just nothing.
Yep. Yep. Maybe I should just make something up and just put it in there.
Well, isn't that
Right.
what Oaks does basically?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
He'll usually just listen for his name. Now I said it. Like Beetlejuice.
There you go. Will he appear though?
I hope not. Good Lord. Been there, done that. Got the shirt. Anyway, so how was your week, Dave?
It was good. This week has basically been. I mean, work is a lot crazier now with the schedule that I have. So I'll just leave it at that. Which means I don't have a lot of time to do anything other than teach. Which I guess some people would say was a good thing. But there's not a lot of time to plan and prep anything. But I'm not going to complain or go on about that. But I will tell you, this week has been a week of kind of doing things I probably should have done a long time ago. And that's how I'm going to sum up this week in 3 ways. Number one, I'm finally reading a book, which I'm enjoying so far.
I was secretly hoping you would just stop at reading a book, and then we would all be like, "Yep, you're
that
reading
I
a
probably
book
should have
finally."
And I'm sure, you've probably read it, but I don't know. I don't want to make an assumption.
Right.
I've started to actually read, after all this time, Ball 4.
I've read like 3/4 of it. After a while, it felt a little repetitive, but I have read like 3/4 of the way through. I have it on my Kindle.
Yeah, so I'm just in like the first. Well, I don't know, chat, because it's the way it's organized is not really by chapters. But it's interesting, his first basic story is about his contract negotiations with the Yankees, so that's kind of interesting.
Yep.
And then I did some yard work, which included tree trimming, which included cutting some branches off a tree that are of like a pine tree that's been leaning on the house. So it's like, should probably, I don't know, since it's been windy, maybe take the branches that blow against the roof off the tree. So I finally did that. And then it doesn't look like there's any damage to the roof, which is good. We've only been here since April. And then I put up Christmas lights for the first time in my life on my own property.
So is just out of curiosity, since you mentioned Christmas lights, is this going to be a situation where now that you've done this, those Christmas lights will not leave for the next 15 years?
I don't know. I thought about that. The one, like the 2 strings of lights I put in said pine tree are, they're not up too high. They don't require a lot of work to put up, so they're pretty easy to take down. And the other ones are clips, like they're on the eaves trough, but you clip them. The clips are built in, so you just clip and clip as you go along. And I realized, like, I put some up and then realized I didn't have enough, so I went back to Canadian Tire and bought some more. And then when I plugged them in, the plugs didn't fit. So I had to switch. So the ones that were already up, I had to take down, put the new ones up, plug those into the extension cord, and then plug the old ones into the new ones on the other end. And it didn't take me too long. So I'm not sure. As a lot of things, being married, Megan will probably have the final say as to whether they stay up or not, and for how long.
Indeed.
I know. So we'll see. I will keep you posted, Carlos. If I had to bet, I would say they come down, but they probably, come down in like March. They get turned off on Epiphany, which is usually around January 6th, right? And then they'll probably come down in like March.
Interesting.
That's my guess, but we'll see.
Do indeed keep us posted. This is going to be crucial to your future updates.
You never know. It could be a thing that becomes something where people like somehow are watching Christmas videos to keep them in the Christmas spirit, and all of a sudden they're linked to this video because we had this conversation. You never know, man.
We do not question the power of the YouTube algorithm.
Nope.
It's great amount of power.
No, we do not.
I, for one, look forward to our YouTube overlords. Anyway, so I believe now we wanted to chat a little bit. You had an NBA thing you want to talk about.
Yeah, the NBA's gone nuts, man. Like, seriously nuts. And in a very short time span.
Be more specific.
Well, because here's the thing. Obviously, things happen on a different wavelength because of the timing and COVID and when the new season's going to start, which I'm not even sure they've actually officially said when it's happening. I think they're going mid-December.
I believe that's still the plan, yeah.
But I don't know if that's official yet.
Well, I think the players like semi-agreed to it. Like there's some kind of an agreement in place.
Yeah. So without going into too much information and too much depth, because 1, we don't need to, and 2, I don't have it all. Free agency opened this week, and all of a sudden everybody's trading, and all these free agents have been signed, and it was like boom. So a couple of notable examples for maybe people who listening may actually care about. Today, Tristan Thompson, he's left the Cavaliers. He's going to the Boston Celtics. 2 years, $19 million. The Raptors re-signed Fred VanVleet for like $85 million on a 4-year deal, I think.
Yeah, that actually came up during the not live stream, but I guess it was in the virtual expo.
Yep. Yeah. The Milwaukee Bucks have like basically remade their team. Right, they got rid of a bunch of people, brought in Drew Holiday from the New Orleans Pelicans in a 4-team trade. So it seems like they're full on. Let's make Giannis happy and do everything we can.
Well, you better. This is the year. So it's like, if you can't get it done this year, then that's it.
Well, exactly. A couple other notable examples. De'Aaron Fox signed the Kings for $163 million. Chris Paul got traded to the Phoenix Suns.
Yes, I did hear about that one.
Right? Like, so it's like all of a sudden it's like, I know this isn't a financial move or a trade or free agency or anything, but Klay Thompson blew out his was it ACL, I think, or his ankle. It was his ankle, because it was his knee that he hurt in the playoffs and was out all last year. Mm-hmm. And then he blew his something wrong with his ankle, so he's not going to play for the whole year. Mm-hmm. So who knows what the Warriors are going to be like now? So it's like all of a sudden in the span of a week, I feel like the NBA does this like no other league does. It's like all of a sudden, I mean, the Lakers are still the Lakers, the Clippers are still the Clippers. There's things that really haven't changed.
Yeah.
And certain teams, haven't made anything really of significance is going to change. Like the Raptors re-signing Fred VanVleet is great, I think. But it's not going to fundamentally change your team in any way, because he was already there.
That's right.
Right. So there's a few of those, but the NBA seems to just be like, and all of a sudden everything has changed overnight because we're the NBA. And and Harden there was like news about Harden being traded, and he wasn't traded, and then what's the Russell Westbrook, and I was like, I can't handle all this news, because literally in the span of like less than 24 hours, the NBA was a completely different league.
So would you say that by being all encompassing on the news cycle, they have thus reestablished themselves in their profile in the sports coverage, and perhaps generated what some could argue being an overall league cash grab?
Yeah, everything they do is a cash grab. # capitalism.
That's why it's not even for this podcast. Doesn't matter.
I know. And quite frankly, Carlos, I don't want you to tell me what it's actually for.
Doesn't matter.
It works.
Doesn't
and we're going to keep it.
Yep. Doesn't matter. But the thing is, I agree. I think part of it is just that, like, it's the NBA is basically reacting the way that I react to a lot of the plans and things. Again, for obvious reasons, we always stay vague about what we do, because, we got to keep it. We want to make sure we keep a separation in terms of what we do day to day, because that's our business, that's our lives in work. But there's a lot of things where I'll get these proposals and these plans that I'm given, and they'd be like, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? And the answer is generally yes. Sometimes if it's more complicated, it'll take a little bit of time. And I say, yes, but it's going to take a couple of weeks or whatever. And they'd be like, oh, okay, well, we don't have to start that right away. And I'm like, are you sure? And they're like, what do you mean? And I go, well, it's mid-November. Now we're past the midway point in November. I'm like, well, that means the earliest, if I start now, the earliest I could finish would be early, maybe second week of December. Second week of December, we're doing some extensive testing. That's going to knock us out for a couple of days. So it might be the middle of December. Well, by the middle of December, everybody's going on vacation. So COVID or not, people are taking their Christmas vacation. Yeah. That's still happening. So, and towards the end of the month, it's a dead zone, because most people are off on vacation or on their holidays or whatever. So we're really not going to get a lot of activity, but at the same time, we're not going to be doing anything. So we don't have the people to test anything. We don't have the people to execute anything. So as far as we're concerned, you should consider the remaining working year. We're at about 30 days. And I'm being generous when I say 30 days, probably more like 25.
Yeah.
That means the working year, including weekends, is about 25 days. We're closer to the end than people realize. And I think the NBA was in the way to like, wait a minute. So if we started like mid-ish, almost just before Christmas, December, that means how much time do we have? A month?
Yeah.
So all of a sudden it's like somebody discovered the calendar. Like, wait a minute, that's not a lot of time. Months of off season have to be done in a couple of weeks. So yes, I'm not shocked that it's been a flurry of activity for that reason, because the teams have to be like, okay, let's get this figured out. We got contracts to set up. We got all this stuff we need to do. Like, get her done, because by the time we get to the Christmas holidays, we don't want to be dealing with this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they want to be ready to play at that stage,
Mm-hmm.
right? So no, that's fair. I agree, but it's for that reason. It's like, and the NBA is only doing it because at the end of the day, they would like to have something. They don't want to completely torpedo 2 seasons, because this past season at least had most of a regular season, even if they had to create a funky playoff format to make it work. Well, if they start too late, well, that's going to really mess up next season too.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, you know, I somehow this goes back to Rob Manfred, I guess. But it's the fact that the NBA is normally in the middle. Well, not in the middle, but they've started their season by now. They're in the second month, right? Yeah. We're getting an idea of what each team is. And now they're in free agency, whereas normally baseball is really the only team, only sports league that's in free agency right now. Mm-hmm. And it's like, can you tell me, other than the fact that you know, baseball is hard up for money as an industry right now, because they lost, $3.1 billion this year. Mm-hmm. Can you tell me any major news on the free agents or, you know, I mean, obviously you can because you follow it more than most people, but I feel like the NBA has now just stolen all the thunder of any offseason talk.
Yeah, but at the same time, to your point though, like honestly, is there any free agent in baseball that you think would really move the needle?
Probably not.
Yeah, like right now, it's like there's stuff happening, but it's not.
You know, like... I think it could. There are a couple of guys there that potentially could put a team over the top, maybe, depending on, you know, what moves they make and whatnot. But I don't see the landscape of Major League Baseball and where the teams are fundamentally changing, you know, for next year. I mean, it doesn't mean that the Dodgers are going to win the World Series again, although I hope they do. Side note, my World Series hat and hoodie came in this week. But you know, we'll see.
Actually reminded me of something that I definitely want to discuss as well, because we talked about it earlier, but we're definitely going to bring it up. But no, I agree with you. Like, that's the reality is, though, it's like, yeah, there's not that much going on.
All right.
Nothing that exciting anyway.
So can we talk about the Young Goat King now?
Oh, no, we will in 1 second. But I want to do all the football talk together.
All right. Fair enough. Sorry, I just get excited when we have the chance to talk about the Young Goat King.
Dude, none of us are more excited about talking about the Young Goat King than I am.
Fair enough.
As the future Jameis Winston super fan collector, whatever. I'm gonna have a Jameis Winston collection that's gonna put my Medano collection to shame, Dave. To shame.
Whoa.
I know. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna change your lives. All right, hold on. I want to grab this here. I want to see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find the right one. Oh yeah. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I'm gonna do the old screen share again. Video version of the podcast, you get a little more out of it, but I'm going to have Dave do his best to explain this. So I'm going to show Dave something that we're going to do on the screen, and then I would like him to explain it.
Okay, before you put this on the screen, can I make a plea to you, because I don't know what you're going to show me. Mm-hmm. Can I make a plea that you're not going to show me some hideous NHL jersey?
Oh, you're getting a hideous NHL jersey. You have no choice in the matter.
I know you too well, Carlos. So I don't know what you're going to put on, but somehow I was like, I think he's going to show me another hideous NHL jersey.
It's going to be, well, I would say less hideous and more lame.
All right, bring it on.
Okay, here we go. It's coming. Boom. Dave, what is
this? You did share this with me via Messenger, I think, this week. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So this is it's another Dallas Stars jersey.
Mm.
Basically,
it's not the Rave jersey.
No, it is not. And it is not nearly as hideous as. Actually, you know what? This picture, the first time you showed this to me, I hated it. This picture is a little bit better. Mm. But basically, it's a white jersey. It's got the Dallas, from what I can see, it's got the Dallas Star logo in the middle of the chest, like it normally does. It says Dallas above that. I don't know if there's anything. There's just like some shadow. And then it's sort of got out in green, the outline of half a star. Mm-hmm. On the body. So as if basically the person wearing it, their head would be the point of the star. Mm-hmm. And then they've got, 2 points on their arms, but it's actually on the jersey. And then a couple of points on what would be their stomach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah. Like as I describe it like that. Yeah. Lame is probably a very apt choice of word there, Carlos.
Now, here's the thing. To facilitate this is part of the NHL's initiative, and I'll show you something to contrast that in a second. But just to understand kind of conceptually what we're talking about here, the reality is I have no moral objection to them coming up with more like miscellaneous stuff. But the problem that I have is that when we're talking about it, I know what it was. I know what we were talking about. I know what we were doing at the time. But what you're comparing it to, because what they did is effective. They created these newly reconceived retros, because that different teams chose in different ways. Because like the Minnesota Wild basically took the Minnesota Wild design and put Minnesota North Stars logos on it. So, which is fine. You know, it was kind of a cool concept. And to be honest, I think it was fairly well executed. I was actually fairly impressed with it. But if I take what I just showed you and do a little comparison, so I'll see if I can grab this here. Okay.
Let's just say I'm just thankful it's not the Mooterus or the Rave jersey.
Yeah. So now look at this, Dave.
Okay. So this is another Dallas Stars jersey, which is very similar design, but basically different color scheme.
But this is the thing. This is what that one was based on. What they did is they took the jersey because they see the star. That design.
Yeah. So basically, instead of being green, the points of the star are white and gold. Yeah. Still it's a green jersey, predominantly says Dallas Stars again, which is basically the same. Yeah, I like this better. I don't love it, but I like it a lot better.
This is the Stanley Cup road jersey, or road jersey. Yeah. This is what it was, because you can see the patch there. If you look, there's a Buffalo Sabre in the background. This is during the Stanley Cup. This is the jersey they wore when they were playing in the Stanley Cup finals. This is what that other one is based on. What they did is they basically just took everything that had color in it and made it white.
Yeah,
that was
pretty
it.
Much.
Literally, they took this and made it white.
And somehow it makes it worse.
Yes. Well, not somehow. It's like there's no color. It's basically what they did. The Detroit Red Wings had basically the same thing happen. They just took their jersey, they took their crest, and be like, okay, so you know where everything's red? Right. It's white now. We'll sell millions.
And how?
No, you won't. Because it's weak. It's like,
see, I feel once you said we will sell millions, you should have brought up the capitalism banner again.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, this is okay. 1 second. Here's what this banner is going to say. Okay, 1 second.
The anticipation is killing me, Carlos.
All right, so it's coming. Okay, 1 second.
3, 2, 1, and everything they do is a failed cash grab. Hashtag NHL. Oh, so true.
It took me a second because I had to rewrite that from scratch.
So yeah, but it's so true, right? It really is.
Like it's the Rave jersey was bad, but it was bad. Like, okay, fine, at least fine. You're trying something. I'm not the demographic for it. Fair enough. But I am the demographic. Like, do you not understand how many years it's been since I bought a replica jersey? Like, I want to buy a replica jersey.
How many Dallas Star jerseys do you have that you would actually that you wear, not like framed Medano?
Well, I don't wear any anymore because most of them are like when I was probably 40 pounds heavier. I wouldn't wear any of them. It wouldn't make any sense. And also, to be honest, what am I going to do? Wear it around the house, just prancing around? Like,
why not, man? You could be wearing it in this podcast. I am wearing a Montreal Canadiens shirt right now.
Yeah, but you're a weirdo. But the thing is that
how does that make me a weirdo?
Literally, you're in your house wearing a jersey. Why?
It's not a jersey. It's a shirt. It's not a jersey. It's a shirt.
But I'm talking about a jersey.
Okay, well, you know what? It's true though. I'll give you that.
About a jersey
because I can't tell. The only time I ever wear an NHL jersey is if I'm at a game.
Yeah.
Or if there's like some like jersey day at work, and then I'll wear it to work.
Yeah, like maybe for live stream fun. Like, you know what I may do, because the jerseys are kind of big. I probably have like a half dozen because I've got an Alcazar 12 jersey with that design that I showed you earlier, the green one. Like the classic,
the nice one, the good one.
Yeah. So that's the classic with my name and number and everything and all that good stuff. I've got one of those. I've got a couple of Medanos, but a couple of the Medanos that I have are autographed, so I'm not going to wear those. And I do have I have a Medano All-Star jersey, which is not autographed, but at some point I probably would get that one autographed. That's probably the last jersey I would get autographed that I have. But I would love to get a more let's put it this way. I haven't bought an NHL jersey since the lockout.
Wow.
The one that wiped out the season. Because
that's a long time.
It is, because there's no reason for me to buy one. Like, I've got a couple, and like, I don't wear them all the time. I almost never wear them. I used to wear them to card shows and stuff, but after a while I was like, I'm just going to wear my shirt. Like it's a bit of a pain. And also if it doesn't fit properly, like they're all kind of large for me now. So I was like, oh, I'm not going to wear that. And at the same time, also when during the lockout, I was able to get a Medano Minnesota North Stars jersey for like a 60% discount. So I was like, yeah, buddy, I'll buy that. Sure. So I was like, yeah. So I took care of it at that point because it was a lockout. They were like, we're clearing this out. I'm like, sweet, bye. I would love to buy one of the more modern ones. The current iteration of the Dallas jerseys, the regular version with D, with the big star and whatever, because it's the Dallas Star one, that one that the retro was supposed to inspired by, I preferred it. It was more to my taste. But they haven't done that in years because they did the Motorist logo. They did a Dallas black with the word Dallas on it, kind of in the middle time period since Jamie Benn started. Well, Jamie Benn started 10 years ago.
Wow.
So it was 2009, 2010. It was
Wow.
2009, 2010 when he started playing. He never wore that jersey that I just showed you with Medano. He didn't play on the team when they were wearing that. So it's been 10 years since they were wearing those. So it's like, so you brought back a retro, a jersey that hasn't been worn in 10 years, and you made it all white. Like, what am I supposed to do with that? The Rave jersey, fine. It's not for me, whatever. I get it. Plus they use the new logo on it. Fine, whatever. But it's like, okay, Dallas uses what they call Victory Green. That's their shade of green they use.
Okay.
Although I think they changed it since the actual like Stanley Cup years. I think they used a different shade. It was darker. But anyway, fine. Victory Green, whatever. So you did a jersey where you completely eliminated the green. Like,
yeah, I hear you, man.
there is literally no connection between that jersey and the actual jersey for the team that I've been cheering for since the mid-90s. Like, these are the colors with green that are comprised of that team.
Carlos is pointing to a Dallas Stanley Cup champion banner behind it right now.
Yeah. And that was the team. And here's the thing. Why would you completely disassociate yourself? And I've heard some theories about this. It seems like the current ownership wants to disassociate itself to the past of the team. And I'm like, you mean the past when they won?
Yeah, why would you?
Well, apparently they have they're hell bent on like cutting the cord and building their own legacies. Like, your legacy is you got to a Stanley Cup final because it was a weird pandemic year. You got lucky and you lost. That's your legacy. Like, what? This is when you hearken to the victory years. It's been a little over 20 years. You know what?
Yep.
This is the time
Absolutely,
when the team was good.
Absolutely. Like let's bring it back. Come on, Montreal, 1993. Woo!
Well, at least I will say the Montreal alternate jersey was decent, I thought. Did you see the new version they did?
No, no.
I'll pull it up.
Please.
It actually isn't half bad, to be honest with you. Like I've seen definitely worse.
All right.
So let me go here. New Jersey. I'll find it here. Give me a second. It isn't half bad, I thought. Let me go here.
I feel like sometimes with these jerseys, it's just like they just try too hard, right?
They
to
do.
Make something like edgy or unique or different, and it's like, you know what? Like, it's like the Blue Jays, right? Like, how many iterations do they go through from the original logo, and then they sort of went back to, I like that.
That's what I mean. Like, it's fine.
Right?
Like, it's fine.
Yeah. So it's basically it's their regular jersey, right? Like, in terms of like the hat, the Montreal Canadiens logo with the red stripe in the middle. And then instead of where it's normally red or white, it's blue.
Yeah. Like, and here's the thing. There is a history back in the Montreal Canadiens days. There have been some uniforms that had a little bit more blue in them. And like, this is not a ridiculous departure.
They should, what they should be doing is they should be wearing a Montreal Maroons jersey.
Well, that was like the only real team in Montreal ever had. Someday they'll have an NHL team.
Hey man, they were the English team in Montreal back in the day.
That's what I mean. They were a legit team. But the point is, like, if I was a Montreal Canadiens fan, this jersey does not offend me in any way.
No,
this is more than reasonable.
It's actually quite a nice jersey. I would buy that. I probably won't, but I might. I'm not going to be like, never am I going to wear that.
But that's what I'm trying to get at.
If
like,
if PK Subban came back to the team, I would get that jersey with his name on the back. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, some of the teams
# bring PK back.
Yeah, some of the teams had like reverse jerseys that were actually half decent, I thought. So it's one of those things where it's like, so when Dallas came out with that, I'm like, you gave me 2 consecutive abominations? Haven't I suffered enough? Like, what
Dude, you got a Stanley Cup final appearance this year.
That doesn't even count. I bet against them. I knew where that was going.
Hey
Like,
man,
come on.
as you said, it was a happy hedge, right? If they lost, you won the money. If they won the Stanley Cup, you were happy and bought a whole bunch of swag. Either
Yeah,
way,
but
Carlos wins.
I watched that team. There was no way they were winning. No chance.
But they won game one, didn't they?
They won definitely a game. I don't remember if it was game 1 or game 2. I did definitely won a game there. I think
There you go.
I'm trying to remember now. Was it 5 or 6? I think it was 6. I think they won 2 games.
So there you go. You got 2 games, Carlos.
I will say though, my personal favorite goes to the Colorado Avalanche.
I'm assuming you're going to bring that up too.
I will.
Or I could just look it up and we can start talking about football. That's okay too.
We will in a second. Shh. We're getting actual content here. The football slate is not going to take us that long to get through.
But go Jameis. Come on.
We will. We'll get to go Jameis. So here's 2 pictures. So here's the.
Okay, so really, so you have a Hartford Whalers jersey and a Quebec Nordiques jersey.
But it's a Quebec Nordiques jersey with Avalanche colors, Dave.
Okay, so I don't hate it.
It's not bad looking, but I feel like literally, can I just go to Quebec and say, I'm going to wear this to make fun of you? You don't have a team.
I feel you should, because obviously as a Montreal Canadiens fan, I'm therefore obliged to hate the Quebec Nordiques. So, yeah.
I don't mind it. Like, I'm not offended by it, but it's like, it is kind of funny though, that basically you literally developed a jersey that is the Quebec Nordiques jersey, but in Colorado colors that they will wear in Colorado.
And not to mention it has numerous fleur-de-lis on it as well.
Because I
feel like please, they should just have the Quebec flag on the a flag patch on the sleeve of the Quebec flag, but instead of being the white and blue, it should also be Colorado Avalanche colors. Just for an extra fuck you.
Yes, like it's fantastic. Like I said though, but here's the thing: you can knock these as much as you want, and they deserve a little bit of mockery. But the point is, I'm not offended by any of these jerseys. At least they did something. They adjusted the colors.
I'm offended by the Rave jersey.
But the Rave jersey was prior to these reverse negatives. But yes, but like the NHL, but then like for Dallas, it's like we're sitting there like, you gave me the Rave jersey, and then you gave me that shit. Like, what is this?
Yeah,
I got nothing. And I'm like, all right, moving on. I look forward to next year when they probably won't make the playoffs. It'll be great. Awesome. That'll be the follow-up. That'll be the icing on this crap cake. Okay. Moving on. All right. Let's talk about Young Goat King. Do it. Dave, why is Young Goat King not starting?
Okay. Well, let's put it this way. So just for the people who may not have heard, have been living in a bubble, Breeze got injured. I agree, dear God, why? Well, actually, apparently he maybe, and the team could be getting fined for this, may have actually fractured, I'm trying to think, what the left side of his ribs, and like a couple of his ribs on the left side in the 49ers game. No, sorry, the Tampa Bay game.
Right.
And then during the 49ers game last week, he got hit on the right side, fractured a couple more ribs, and had a collapsed lung.
Yep.
Which surprisingly can also turn out, the collapsed lung part could maybe turn out to be not so serious of an injury. But anyway, point is he's gonna be at least 3 weeks for Breeze before he's back. 3 games anyway, because he's been put on IR, so that's the minimum amount of time that he's gonna be out. So as most people would expect, Carlos has it now a ticker that says #biology.
Well, that's since you brought up the collapsed lung, not necessarily being serious. I'm like #biology.
True. So we're expecting, so for the rest of last week's game, Drew Brees didn't play the second half. Although you got to admit, Carlos, as someone who occasionally makes fun of Drew Brees, you have to give respect to a guy who who led a 2-minute drive with a collapsed lung and several broken ribs and got his team to score a touchdown.
Dave, the mockery of Drew Brees is based on the mockery of the New Orleans Saints, which is based on the fact that they're yet to win a legitimate championship one day. But the point is, I'm
Carlos,
not questioning.
Do you really want to be talking about legitimate championships, Mr. Skate in the crease?
No, that was completely legitimate. It's like, we did it before, and I do it again on purpose. Screw Buffalo. Anyway, the point is, take that wide right. Anyway, so the point is, one day they'll realize the sports guys don't actually like them. And by the way, as much joy as I get,
like Atlanta.
I get so much joy from it. It's wonderful. Like, let's be clear. Let's be fair about this. if you go back and watch the replay of the skate in the crease, yeah, it's in the crease. Dominic Hasek is 45 feet away. That skate in the crease didn't impact him in the slightest. You were out of position. Deal with it. That's what happens when you're unconventional in net.
Said the words of a man who's bitter about the fact that his championship is not legitimate.
Dude. Like, it's not even the same discussion point. They actually had to win games to get there, and not be gifted games by the patron saint himself of turnover, Brett Favre. And
don't forget Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, well, I would never forget the deputy saint, Adrian Peterson.
But anyway, so Jameis Winston played the second half of the game and didn't play particularly well. But
I don't think he played well. I don't think he played badly.
They had a lead and they scored one more touchdown, I think, and a field goal in the second half. But he did what he needed to do to not, he didn't. Although he tried, he didn't turn the ball over, and so there we got there. Then we have Taysom Hill, who's fumbled more times this year than his basically his career prior to this point, or equal to. So what is Sean Payton?
And has thrown 5 passes this season.
Correct. I think 18 total passes in an NFL career.
Yep.
And yeah. So what do? Instead of giving it to the 30-30 guy, the 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions, but 5,000 yards, Jameis Winston, who has been a NFL starter for several seasons with Tampa Bay. They've announced that Taysom Hill is going to start on Sunday, which is tomorrow, or yesterday, depending on when you're listening to this podcast. My issue here, I would not at all be surprised if both of them see game time. I'm a little bit disappointed that our GOAT narrative might change based on this, and if it does, right, exactly, justice for the #YoungGoatKing. You know what I mean? I may never forgive Sean Payton for this, but
it's all been downhill since the fake Super Bowl.
But I would also not be surprised if, Sean Payton's also just fucking with Atlanta, and Taysom Hill plays the first series or the first snap because therefore first offensive snap because therefore he is the starter, and then all of a sudden Winston takes the rest of the game. Or they do some kind of back and forth thing like they did a little bit in the second half of last week's game, right? Taysom Hill actually is making more money than Jameis Winston is too.
He is the highest paid backup quarterback in the league by far.
So, I don't know. I mean, it'll be interesting because as a fan, and if anyone who watches, whether you're a fan or not, watches the Saints on a regular basis, that they use Taysom Hill as sort of this as a Swiss Army knife. He plays special teams. Sometimes he's on, punt returns, kick returns. Sometimes he lines up as a receiver. Sometimes he lines up as a tight end. If he's a quarterback, they're probably going to run the ball, and we'll see. Cause I could see, and I heard this on a podcast with a couple of Saints, guys that work for Athletic talking about it, which I could quite see is that, he's going to go first read, not there, second read, not there. He's going to take off. I expect him to run a lot, regardless of whether it's design run or not. I don't know. The Saints are good enough to win and not be reliant on their quarterback to do everything, right? And they did it, for 5 games last year with Teddy Bridgewater when they went 5-0 with him. Now, granted, I think Teddy Bridgewater is a more proven quarterback than either Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill for different reasons, right? But they designed a game plan around him, and we'll see, right? So we'll see what it looks like when a game plan is designed around Taysom Hill. But yes, Carlos, #justice for Young Goat King.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the thing is that I understood. Like I do understand that like Sean Payton really was going to be they have to kind of justify it because they are paying Taysom Hill so much money. It's going to be very tricky for them to get off of that. But at the same time, it's like, I'm back to my thing. It's like five passes because it's like, so if you're Atlanta, I don't care how bad you are. It's like, aren't you going to defend the run? I'm like, I'm convinced you can make a pass if the situation is right, but you've made 5 passes all season. So sure, drop back. But if you run, like we're gonna defend the run. So if you want to run, by all means, it's not a gadget play here. Like you're the quarterback, so do whatever you want.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, the good news is that it's Atlanta. Although Atlanta's obviously looked better the last couple of weeks from their start to the season where the coach got fired and they were like, let's find out how we can lose this week, right? But and then they're playing Denver and then Atlanta again and then Philadelphia. So hopefully you would think that hopefully Breeze would be back by the time they play the Kansas City Chiefs. Right, so the schedule isn't, in dire straits, and we'll see what happens. I mean, could they go could they go over in Breeze's absence? Sure, but they could also go undefeated. So I have no expectation as to what's going to happen other than pain, Carlos, physical and emotional.
If there's any justice in the world, Taysom Hill somehow gets either out of the game or knocked out of the game. The young goat king comes in and finally claims his rightful throne as the new king of New Orleans. Takes your team to run the table. Defeats the evil faux goat.
In the NFC Championship game.
Defeats the evil faux goat, as he should. And then at last leads the New Orleans Saints to their first legitimate championship in franchise history. The only championship. We will burn the other banner because it's not real.
Oh, Carlos.
And then finally we got a real banner there. It'll be great.
Just because they played better than Minnesota for about 5 minutes.
I want to say 5 minutes is generous, sir.
3 minutes?
Generous.
Overtime and overtime only?
If you're lucky. If you are lucky.
So.
Anywho. All right. Here is the NFL slate. The good news is we have more than 2 games with teams with winning records on both sides. Yes. I don't know if it's that much better, but it is better. Ish.
Fair enough. So as you go through them, you leave off New Orleans and Atlanta. We've talked about that.
Yeah. I will say Atlanta 3-6, New Orleans 7-2. So there you go. Anyway, one thing also that I will note as I go through this is that this year I haven't even attempted. Like I've done a handful of wagers on this and I did win a couple of wagers. I'm not touching most of the slate with an 80.5-foot pole. Like I am mortified at a lot of these matchups. Like I'm like, there is an obvious choice, but like this year's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know what you're gonna. I feel like you'd almost go with the Ouija board, whatever it says. Try that. See if that works for you. But anyway, okay. So first one on the docket here, you got Joe Burrow and the 2-6-1 Cincinnati Bengals taking on the Washington Football Team, 2-7.
Oh. Honestly, if Joe Burrow had a decent offensive line, they could be a lot better, but they're not.
I feel like, given the fact that what he's had to work with, I feel like he's basically bought them 1.5 extra wins than they probably deserve.
I would agree with that. I'm going to go Cincinnati in this one because why not? Because football team. So let's go Bengals.
Dang. All right. Next one here. All right, we got the 9-0 Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the 1-8 Jacksonville Jaguars.
This will probably be like the game Pittsburgh loses, right? Like I feel like Pittsburgh will slip up, and they're gonna slip up against some like random.
As this season, I put the upset alert last week, not because I said, "Oh yeah, definitively, Cincinnati win." I said Pittsburgh has been vulnerable. For them, almost every matchup against a crummy team is like an upset alert. You have to be like, is this the one where they slip on the banana peel? Because they're a team that's designed to do that.
Yeah, and I also think I think one thing that people don't necessarily pay attention to when they're looking at NFL slate is the strength of schedule, right? The NFL tries to maintain as much competitive balance as it can, and therefore, I can't remember what place Pittsburgh finished in last year. Maybe they were second in the division, but they weren't first. But they're playing, let's put it this way, if they're playing a second place or a third place schedule, I think there's a second place schedule right now. Mm-hmm. But basically with the first place talent team, if you will. Right. You know what I mean? Same thing with Tampa Bay, right? Tampa Bay is playing a third or fourth place schedule. I can't remember which one. And their talent, minus the faux goat, is potentially a second or a first or second place team, right? They're playing an easier schedule. Pittsburgh's playing an easier schedule. And some of the divisions that they come up against are just terrible, right? Like they play Cincinnati twice, terrible. They play Cleveland twice, terrible. I don't care about the fact that Cleveland actually might have a winning record. They're still terrible,
No,
right?
they're genuinely awful because I think they won last week like 10-3, something stupid like
Right.
that.
So the question is not really like, if Pittsburgh goes 16-0, great. It means nothing to me until they start playing, the Kansas Cities and, well, basically Kansas City, because everyone else in the, maybe even Buffalo, depending. But everybody else in the AFC, right? Like, Baltimore is supposed to be all that. They're clearly not, and definitely have some weak spots. The only good part about that is that they got to keep winning to stay in it. So it looks like Lamar Jackson, who's my fantasy league quarterback, is going to have to play meaningful games in my fantasy playoffs. So I like that. Right, but right.
So let me ask the question.
Okay.
Now, with everything you just said having been said, do you feel comfortable with a 10.5 point spread in this game?
No,
Yeah,
I don't.
Like that'd be a tough one. Like they got to win by 11. Could they? Yeah. Should they, based on records? Yeah. Will they? Maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I don't want to bet that game.
Yeah, and I wouldn't touch the money line either because it's lame. It's basically, if you want this one, you got to put it in a parlay to make it interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
You pretty much have to. Like, this is the only way you can get any kind of a decent thing. Anyway, whatever. So yeah, so if you're gonna do it, and I'm gonna make a recommendation, if you're gonna go down that route, I'll make a recommendation for you guys. I'm looking at it. I'll think about it. I'm iffy on it myself, but I'll at least throw it out there for you to consider if you're gonna go that route. And I wouldn't. Really. I'm seriously thinking about it. Okay, next one. New England Patriots at 4-5, taking on the 2-7 Houston Texans.
Yeah, again, I have no idea who win this game because you have two quarterbacks that are kind of similar to each other. This could be entertaining.
Yeah, except Cam Newton is a broken down version of Deshaun Watson, who will eventually become a broken down version if he doesn't get some help or some protection.
Yep,
that's fair.
Next.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that one at all. Philadelphia 3-5-1 Eagles taking on the, as Dave outlined already, juggernaut Cleveland Browns.
Literally every time you mention Philadelphia Eagles, if that's the team that's playing, I don't care. Get next matchup.
Yeah,
right.
6-3 versus 3-5-1.
Who knows?
Division leader.
Who knows? Right. I would not be surprised with either team winning, but if I had to bet, if you had a gun in my head and I had to bet, I would bet on Cleveland, which says all you need to know about this game.
The 4-5 Detroit Lions taking on the 3-7 Carolina Panthers.
Don't care.
By the way, you'll note that so far I haven't read two teams with a winning record yet. We did beat last week, but just be aware how many games I've read so far without two teams with a winning record. Next one, 6-3 Tennessee Titans taking on the 6-3 Baltimore Ravens.
This has game of the week potential, based on just the expectations of the teams versus where they are. They both have a winning record, but I feel both teams want to think they're better, or at least at the start of the season, than 6-3. Especially since was Tennessee 6-0?
I believe they were either 6-0 or 6-1. They were somewhere in that
right.
range.
Like,
they lost a couple of games, yeah.
And Baltimore is supposed to I would say maybe co-favorite, maybe slightly ahead of Pittsburgh at the head of the season to win the division. So there's that.
Yeah.
But I think this is is this a 1:00 or a 4:25?
So this here is a Sunday 1:00 game.
Yeah, so at 1:00, you know what I mean? If your team's not in it, this is probably the game you should watch. Possibly. That's what I think.
I feel like the early slate is definitely going to be a red zone deal. There's a lot it's a very red zone.
I may watch the New Orleans game for faux goat sightings, but sorry, not faux goat. Sorry, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, Carlos.
I was going to say, how dare you? How dare you, sir?
Oh my goodness.
The faux goat is coming later. God damn, what kind of New Orleans Saints fan are you? You don't even respect the young goat king. Brutal. Just brutal. Goodness. Anyway. Okay, so next one. 4:00 slot. So we're out Sunday 4:05 Eastern. The 0-9 New York Jets taking on the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yep. We got it.
2-7. Cool. They have 2 combined wins.
Fantastic.
2 wins combined.
Next.
The 6-3 Miami Dolphins taking on the 3-7 Denver Broncos. No one cares, other than for Tua, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty much. Next one, 2-7 Dallas Cowboys taking on the 4-5 Minnesota Vikings. Yikes.
Yeah. Nah.
Yeah. So far we're at one pair of teams.
I would like to know how all these games got at 4:00. That's what I'd like to know so far.
All right, next one. Green Bay 7-2 Packers taking on the 6-3 Indianapolis Colts. Our second game with two teams with winning records.
And I feel the game you're going to want to watch at the 4:00 time slot.
Probably
not. And then when I say you, I don't mean Carlos because he's going to watch it because it's the Packers.
Yeah.
I mean everybody. This has potential. I say, of being a solid game.
Yeah, well, Indy is kind of middle of the road. Like they've got a decent record, but they're middle of the road. And Green Bay is kind of has its moments, so they're kind of middle of the road as well. So it could be a little bit of a shootout potentially. That could be fun. It could be fun to watch.
Is it at Lambeau or is it in Indy?
I want to say, let me see. Do they list the second team as the home team? How do they do it?
Usually they do, yeah.
So if that's the case, Lucas Oil Stadium, yeah.
Okay.
So it is in
Indy. It's in Indy.
Yeah, but it's still an indoor track, so whatever. It shouldn't make that much of a difference for these teams. All right. Sunday nighter. Kansas City Chiefs, 8-1, taking on the Las Vegas Raiders.
Now, the Raiders already beat them once this year, right? Did they not?
Well, they've only lost one game. So
yeah, wasn't it against Las Vegas? I think.
Mayhaps. I'm looking. Last meeting, yes, October 11th, 2020. Last meeting, Raiders 40, Chiefs 32. If they match that, that'd be awesome.
Exactly. So I think, at the beginning, you're like, why is this on Sunday night? But, a closer look, I feel this is a good choice.
I think it's reasonable. I think that's fair. So that could be potentially pretty interesting. So, for the Sunday nighter, pretty good. All right, Monday nighter. If you've all lived through that, we're going to have the Los Angeles, I keep wanting to say Chargers, but it's actually the Rams, 6-3, taking on Team Fogoat, 7-3 in the Monday nighter.
Yeah, I honestly, I know what I want to happen in this game. I mean, I want the Rams offense to defense just to absolutely dominate Tom Brady, which I think is possible. I have no faith in Jared Goff whatsoever.
Well, I don't think it matters. I think if Aaron Donald, I don't know if he's playing in this game. If he is, I expect he is.
Yeah, I don't think he's injured,
Yeah.
But I don't know for sure.
But it's one of the things. Like if Aaron Donald gets to Brady, that's it. Like it's not that complicated. Like it's one of those things. Like last week, I think the Tampa Bay folks had their field day because it's like, well, you had a team who really couldn't do anything to them. Like it was Carolina. Like what are they going to do?
Yeah.
They kept it close for a little while, but like they're not that good.
Here's what I would say about this game. Honestly, I feel like if the Saints, a couple weeks ago showed the rest of the league, here's the blueprint of how to beat Tampa Bay. If you just go out and do it, it'd be interesting to see how Los Angeles tries to execute that blueprint because I think they can. I think they have a defense that's capable of doing that.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see. If you're an X's and O's person in terms of how you follow your football, I think this could be a very interesting game for you.
Yeah, I would really struggle to watch this on Monday. I'll be honest. I'll watch it. I'll kind of have it on the side while I'm watching some other things.
Yeah, Monday nights, just most of the time, the Monday night matchups are not great. This season, they've been better. I will give Monday Night Football that, and the schedulers that. And I feel this game is no exception. I think it should be a good game.
Yeah.
How much I'll watch of it, I don't know.
I'm just a lot more excited about the Sunday night matchup because, like I said, they lit it up last time. That'd be kind of fun to watch again.
Yeah.
So that is your Sunday NFL slate. But before I leave that final Monday night game, I do want to read you a quick headline. This is on NFL.com, so I'm not making this up. So one more thing before we finish talking about Tampa Bay and the Fogoat and everything. So this is a article. This is a headline here on the news section. Bucks Brady admits struggles. Aims to improve deep balls. See, concept-wise, I understand. But given what we talked about a demographic, I feel like just saying that phrase it just makes it funny for me.
Maybe we're getting more views now.
Yeah, I was going to say, but I'm saying, like, admit struggles. Aims to improve deep balls. I'm just reading what it says.
Yeah, maybe not the best. Maybe not the best headline. Like we all get from a football standpoint, we know what he means. But
I just feel like there's somebody there at NFL.com who's like, we got this
probably.
passed.
Probably.
Yeah.
Dear God, why? Also, por qué?
It is true. But yeah, no, not too much. I think for the most part, I'll be honest. I've been enjoying the NFL season from the standpoint of watching the games here and there, but it feels like it's been a very pedestrian season.
Yeah, it does. It
Like
really does.
I'm like watching the games, but someone's like, and I'm not like I mentioned before when we were watching the other sports. I don't care about the crowd being there or not being there, being less or more. I don't watch the crowd. I don't pay attention to it. I just feel like it's been pedestrian because like, think of how many matchups I gave you where the teams are all kind of like mediocre. So now, since I mentioned earlier, before, so I don't forget. Okay. So what I might suggest to you, if you're going to go this route and you're trying to find something, obviously there's a bunch of these matchups you can try out. But if you believe that Pittsburgh can at least go to 10-0, you can take them over Jacksonville. Money line's not going to be great. You can take the Chargers beating the Jets because for God's sake, the Jets feel like they're primed for 0-16.
Yeah.
So basically, you can just bet against the Jets, go take it to the house. So just do that, and then the other one I was looking at was, if you believe there's an upset in there, maybe take that as the third one just to bolster the total. But probably Pittsburgh to beat Jacksonville, and then the Jets to lose against the Field is probably your setup for a 3-team parlay. You just have to figure out what the third game is that you're comfortable with.
There you go.
I don't know who I would pick for the third game. It'd be tough. Like some of these, I have questions. Like across the board, like could Cincinnati beat Washington? That's not a bad choice. Like that'd be a decent choice. I would pick two teams that are pretty close record-wise, where maybe they get credit for it, and then at least you're getting like a coin toss, at least in terms of odds.
Yeah.
That might be your play. Yeah.
And there you have it, people. Betting advice from Carl Sackler.
Listen, I've been thinking about it the last couple of weeks, and I just haven't felt comfortable with any of them. Like I really do not feel comfortable with any of these picks the last couple of weeks because I'm just looking at them like, even last week the Cardinals were dead to rights against the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills did everything they were supposed to do to get in position to win that game, and then they lost on a Hail Mary.
Yep.
And it's like, well, what are you going to do then? Nothing you can do. Yep. So I will leave us then. If there's nothing else, then I will leave us with the infamous words of a wise man.
Everything they do is a failed cash grab. #NHL.
I kind of want to make that the title of the episode, but I don't know if that'll get, if that'll hit all our demographics, Dave.
It's true. But, maybe some NHL people will come over. So who knows?
Who can say?
Maybe Gary Bettman will watch our podcast.
Dare we live the dream? Anyway, so with that said, maybe he can explain that stupid Dallas jersey, that piece of garbage, trash. Anyway, so that's it for myself and Dave. We do these podcasts generally weekly. Usually the video version goes up the quickest because it's the easiest just to get it up. #improve deep balls. There you go. There's for our algorithm, Dave.
There you go.
Hit our demo.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but the end result is going to be we'll have these up on the YouTube channel all the time. It's on the Unnecessary Nonsense Podcast YouTube channel, and it's also available, as I mentioned previously at the beginning of the episode, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, wherever you get your audio podcasts. So that is it for myself and Dave. We will catch you on the next episode, episode 75.
What?
3/4 of the way to 100. That's like 74 and a half more than I thought of the Unnecessary Nonsense Podcast.